Hi friends, my name is Amitayu. I am a data scientist by profession, and for the past 2 to 3 months I have been working closely with the COVID data from all around the world, especially India. And I've encountered a lot of questions from many of you, my friends, relatives, colleagues, on the current situation of COVID in India. Where are we heading as a country? And in general, some knowledge about the disease and whether or not we really worried. So I believe that there is a lot of fear, and understandably so, and that fear is largely because there are lots of unknowns. So to address these unknowns, I think it requires a scientific explanation of the current situation. And by scientific explanation I mean largely a mathematics driven explanation, but biology as well, to help you assess where we are right now and where we are heading in a way. So this is a humble effort on my part to address many of these questions that have come from you through this small video. So this is going to be probably the first of maybe 5 videos that I'm going to post, wherein I will address your questions. So your questions can be broadly categorized into 4 or 5 major categories. I mean, I received around 20-25 questions. I've categorized them into 4 or 5 major categories. I'll just read it out for you. The first one, like I mentioned, is that is this scary, or how different it is from any other disease? Should I be worried? Well, it's a very pertinent question, and it's a very, very logical question, because in the current situation with the lockdown getting lifted and things being said that COVID will remain, it will be a part of our lives, I think this is a very important question that we should address. The second category of question that has come from you is mostly related to India, whether India as a country is in a bit of a dire strait. The situation is not so good. I'll address that in the subsequent sessions. What was the effect of lockdown, and whether opening the lockdown was a good decision or not? I'll give you my perspectives. Well, it's a government decision. I'll give you my perspectives based on my knowledge, my very limited knowledge. And why is there different kind of situations across the different parts of country? Why is it happening, and how can that be addressed? So that's related to the India. And the third and the final category is related to the future, which is probably the most difficult question to address. What is the future going to be like? So we'll try to address each of these questions over the next a few days, maybe, or the next few videos rather. And what I'm going to start with now is the first question that you have asked, which is that a basic understanding of the disease, and is it scary, or is it something worrisome? Now, the answer to that question, like I said, that lies in understanding a bit of a science. Even before you understand the science, you need to understand 2 very, very important elements about a virus spread. The first element is that there are 2 parties involved. One is the human who is getting infected, and the second is the virus who is infecting. So from a virus perspective, what is the objective of the virus? So the virus is trying to multiply. The virus is, what it is trying to do is that it enters a human body, and it ensures that it is able to multiply its cells, right? In the case of COVID is a SARS virus, so it's a severe acute respiratory syndrome virus. So it will attack your respiratory system, your nose, your throat, your lungs, by entering your body through your nostrils or through your mouth. And therefore, the objective is to enter these systems and then kill your human cells, capture your human cells, and to replicate their own cells. The more it does that, the better it is in a situation to grow. Now, what is the human side? The human side is that the human body will, the immunity system of the human body will generate things called antibodies, which will fight the virus. So it's as simple as that. It's a battle between these two, whoever wins. Now, while we talked about the basics of virus spread, which is these two elements, there are three very important scientific terms that you need to understand here to get to know about disease. The first one is called a transmissibility, right? Transmissibility indicates how quickly or what is the speed at which the virus spreads. For virus-driven disease, it is denoted by something called the reproduction number, or the R naught. In my next session, I will explain in detail what an R naught is mathematically, and the number that is associated with COVID right now is about 2.5. Now, whether or not this number is good or bad, we are going to come to that. The second factor after transmissibility is called fatality. Right now, again, as you can probably understand, fatality is the death rate. Out of 100 people, how many people are actually dying. So fatality for COVID right now is about 7%. It was initially estimated based on the first few months of data that it would be in the range of about 3%. However, it has increased to 7%. So the fatality, if you look at the fatality graph over time, it's an increasing one. So that's number two. Now, between transmissibility and fatality, there are a few other mathematical terms that we will come to in the next few sessions. But one thing that you need to understand here is that from a human perspective, the virus enters your body, the virus infects you while your body is trying to fight it out. If it is able to fight it out, or through some other means, through medication, you can become a recovered person, right? Or you can die, you can be dead. Now, in this process of being recovered or dead, you can come across other people whom you can get infected. So that is where these two factors, transmissibility and fatality, plays an important part. The third element in this whole virus story is called the mode of transmission. It is how the disease gets transmitted. So there are lots of theories going on, making rounds on the internet right now. The most accepted theory is that the COVID spreads through respiratory droplets, which is basically if you sneeze or if you talk, the droplets that come out of your nose or your mouth, they can enter the body of another person through their nostrils or through their mouth, and it can infect them. So that explains the three pillars of a virus spread. There is a fourth pillar which is called a strain, which is more of a biological term. So depending on the strain, the fatality, the transmission, the mode doesn't change, but the fatality or the transmissibility will actually change depending on the strain. It's a more biological term, so I'm not going into that, but that's also another fourth element that you need to understand. Now, like I said, that whether these numbers make sense or not, well, let us do a quick comparison with some of the other very deadly diseases or high spreading diseases. Now, let's say for Ebola, the reproduction number, or the R naught, is about just one. What that means, or just to quickly touch upon that, how many persons can you as an individual infect while you are infected? So that is what an R naught means. So for Ebola, you can infect one person in a unit time, say in a day. Like I said, for COVID, it is about 2.5. Now let us also look at the fatality rate of Ebola. It's 50%, 50. So it's extremely fatal. If you look at SARS, SARS has an R naught of about 0.2 to 0.9. Yeah, and it has a fatality rate of 15%, 1.5. If you look at common flu, the R naught is about 2 to 4, a fatality rate of about 0.1%, very low fatality rate. So now when you compare corona here, it really doesn't sound that it is very, it's a really fatal disease, at least as compared to the other ones that we spoke about here. However, we need to remember two very important facts. One is the spread of corona right now throughout the world. No other disease, since the 1918 flu has spread so badly. So that's one. So it is spreading very fast. We humans haven't developed immunity. Vaccines are not available, so it is spreading fast. Now, what happens if it spreads fast? It will affect a lot of people, some of whom would be affected a little more. So here is where, population demographics become a very important element, and we are going to talk more about population demographics in our next video. So some people will get infected real bad. Some people, mostly say aged people or people with some kind of conditions, and therefore they need to be admitted to the hospitals. Our hospitals, maybe, they are not able to, or they are not equipped to handle so many critical cases, and therefore for these patients we do not have a ventilator or an ICU facility available. So they die of, even though they got infected by COVID, or the COVID has entered their body, they die of other diseases, which is called a comorbidity. So this is why it is scary. To answer the first question in our first segment, it is scary, yes. Whether it is a major worry, it is a major worry indeed, to a large extent. So in our next section, we are going to go a little deeper into the scientific part of it, and help you understand more elements of R0 and a few other scientific terms here and there, which will kind of help you gain more clarity of the situation. Thank you.